Hello ladies and gentlemen, this video will be about the upcoming full moon which is taking place in the very last degrees of Gemini and Sagittarius. So the moon will be in the very last degree of Gemini and the sun will be in the last degrees of Sagittarius. I will describe what the next 15 days will mean as a result of this full moon. First, to tell you, the full moon is sometimes very good. Some people become very productive, very motivated, very even emotionally uplifted and very resultful in their work or occupation or craftsman's work or talented work. So sometimes the full moon can be actually very good. For other people, the full moon can be very emotionally very heavy. Very heavy. So you know better how the full moons work on you. I personally literally enjoy the full moons, but this is different for every person. So try to observe what was your experience, what was your emotional status with the last full moon or the last full moons, and then you will know what this will bring you. For many things, the full moon is a little bit critical. Let's say you want to make surgical procedures for new beginnings. The full moon, for some new beginnings only, it can work, but in general, it's not very advisable, let's say, to start certain new businesses during full moon. For beauty procedures, also not. For some, for creative work is great. Like I tell you, some people really benefit from the full moon. For creative work is great. For what other types of activities, I don't know. If you have important negotiations or conversations, you need to see how the previous full moons worked on you. Then you know if you have good results or not. Of course, the full moons are not the same, but a little bit, there is a bit of resemblance on how we feel, our emotional statuses, and so. So if you feel emotionally very bad, just do some spiritual practices, and this full moon is very good for that because the sun is in Sagittarius, the house of the guru. Sagittarius is ruling the ninth house in astrology, and this is very spiritual place in general. So this would be beautiful remedy to do some spiritual practices. Full moons are also, like, you have the word full. It could be opening for people who have spiritual communications, let's say. It's always an opening. It is also not good to say during full moon, to say, oh, now I will be stopping with sugar or with some cravings. Also not appropriate. So for some matters, the full moons are a little bit critical. I say this specifically about this full moon too, because first, to people who are new to my channel, to say these degrees of the full moons are about the sidereal zodiac, which is showing literally where the stars or the planets are placed on the sky. So this is the sidereal astrology. These are the placements according to the spiritual astrology. The tropical modern astrology, the full moon will take place in Capricorn and Cancer. So what is very interesting about this full moon, let me tell you. We are starting with the degrees of the moon. Usually the last degrees of Gemini are always a little bit critical, especially the last 3 degrees, because they are ruled by Saturn. So how the ancients describe these degrees? Now take this with open mind. I give you literally what the ancients, some hermetic texts say about these degrees. Take this with open mind, and this may of course affect the next 15 days for the world and for us. Now, these degrees cause earthquakes, literally. These degrees make, if they are on ascendant, for example, or with moon, make people unfortunate, epileptic. Of course, take this with open mind. I'm just telling you literally what the ancients say. Then again, another text is giving earthquakes. People will end up in jail. These degrees are called submission. So, and people will lose their dignity, and they will be not noble soldiers. This is just to tell you these degrees are not good. Really not good, because they are ruled by Saturn in Gemini, and also because yes, of projections of some stars. How? You know, in uh, in the ancient astrology, the Gemini are the great twins, constellation on the sky. This is how they were called. And the great twins are represented by the two stars, Castor and Pollux. Castor is the one more spiritual, wild. He's the one who died in the Epic of Gilgamesh, which is describing the two stars as Gilgamesh and Enkidu. So Castor is more natural, more human if you want, because Gilgamesh has also divine, godlike blood, because his mother was goddess. But Pollux is Gilgamesh, the king of Uruk, and he was the one who is represented by Pollux, which is a star like Mars, another Mars. The star Pollux is simply another Mars, and here we will see conjunction between like Mars and the Moon. So you can have a little bit idea why these degrees are considered difficult, because of the it is term of Saturn, hermetic term of Saturn, with Martial star represented by one of the great twins, which is Gilgamesh. The Epic of Gilgamesh is very interesting and gives really detailed information on this, but anyhow, the next 15 days will be under this influence of this very martial star, which can speak of eventually of some natural disasters, which can speak of, you see, soldiers which are losing their dignities and they are not decent. This is how these degrees are described. What is happening with the dispositor of the moon? So this is Mercury. Mercury, at the moment of the full moon, which is in 2 days, is fallen in Sagittarius. He's direct, but also he is visible, which is important. But Mercury, even fallen when visible, is very strong, positive in terms of information, in terms of knowledge. And in Sagittarius, he can denote and bring to the next 15 days amazing spiritual information, especially in the first 6 days, because 6 days from the beginning of the full moon day, so 6 days after that, Mercury is becoming invisible, but he will be visible. Of course, during these 6 days, there will be interesting flow of information, news, which will be maybe very, I don't know how to say, like significant and mind-blowing, and will be very, they will be further opening our eyes. So this is what most probably this will mean. So this is about the full moon. In Sagittarius, the Sun is in opposition. He is in the 29th degree of Sagittarius. These degrees also are not good. The ancients say when these degrees are on ascendant with the Sun, with the Moon, the ancients say people will do disgusting things, which will have bad sexual character, for example. These are shadow degrees, so malefic degrees. What I see in this full moon situation is, because these are last degrees, this is completion of a stage in order something new to come. It's like when we have completion, when we have closure, when we have ending of cycle, this is always critical. We always experience difficult events, malefic, hard events for the collective. This is like closure, and after that the sun will shine again. This is how I see it. So like a closure in order something new to happen after this next 15 days. Of course, when you have ascendant Gemini when you have ascendant Sagittarius, when you have Sagittarius, Gemini on midheaven, low meridian, when you have moon or sun in these degrees, you will be a little bit more influenced, of course, by this full moon which will take place. But try to really to emotionally to enjoy the spiritual perspective of this full moon, because Sagittarius is always very spiritual. Gemini is always very good for studying, for communication, so try to enjoy this way. And when Mercury, who rules Gemini, is in Sagittarius, you can benefit from amazing spiritual information that you wouldn't be able to find before, especially during the first 6 days. Now this is on the 13th 14th of January. Then we have another a little bit critical situation, which is already taking place almost. Mars is, as you know, in sidereal Cancer. He's retrograde. Now as we speak, he's in the last degrees of sidereal Cancer. And at the moment of the full moon, he will be there in the last degrees. And on 16th, 17th of January, Mars will be in a chronicle rise. This is heliacal phase, which we call God sees God, which for Mars is not good. So he's very critical. You see what he's causing in America, total setup. But I thought of making video on this, but then I didn't really want to do so, because this is mind-blowing, so sad. It is just unbelievable. But Mars is not at his peak in causing disasters. He can cause further troubles on 16 and 17, 18th of January. I think the inauguration day in America was on the 20th of January. He will still be in his not very easy phase, but his will not be that dramatic then. He will be more troublesome on 16th and 17th of January. Then on 17th of January, he is entering retrogradely Gemini to touch upon the degree of the full moon. And this is also a little bit critical. This is 17, 16 January. Mars can cause nobody knows what. He is in the, in the sign of Gemini. This could be also troubles in the air. This could be other type of natural disasters. But unfortunately, we saw what the ancients say about this full moon, that it can cause natural disasters. I hope this is not the case. I just quoted to you how they describe these degrees. So these 15 days will be a little bit critical. We shouldn't be afraid. When we are with God, there is no fear, there with Him. So do your spiritual practices. Try to connect with nature as much as you can. This is our remedy always. So I think this critical period will pass. It will not last forever. Now, another thing I forgot to mention, the dispositor of the Sun, because the Sun is in the last degrees, like I told you, in Sagittarius, is Jupiter, and Jupiter will be at the moment of the full moon retrograde, but in the vicinity of Aldebaran in Taurus. So, financially, these 15 days are not so bad, actually. Really not. But of course, we should not forget the phase of Mars and be a little bit careful. But financially, to maintain your business, this is not really. I see no obstacles as a result of this full moon. So, ladies and gentlemen, I hope this was interesting for you, maybe useful. This is my Babylonian perspective. When we, as you know, we apply the specific phases of the planets and the stars, especially this, and the exact degrees. Because in the Vedic astrology you have this wonderful, very valuable nakshatras, but they are more general. In the Babylonian astrology, every degree has message, because in every degree you have projection of multiple stars, and they all give their vibration and energies. So I shared with you what are the energies of the degrees where the moon and the sun will be. Well, I wish you to be brave. All the best to you and see you soon. Bye bye.